We are in Colonial Williamsburg, which to me is probably one of the coolest places in all of America. And I'm walking down Duke of Gloucester Street. It's almost like you're back in the 18th century. It's an incredible place if you've never been. They actually have 89 original structures from the 18th century. So you really do get immersed in that history and in that culture. And they've also reconstructed a lot of the important and primary buildings here, like the Governor's Palace and some others. So we're gonna walk around, enjoy the day. It's pretty hot. It's in the high 80s. I think it might get up to 90 today. And we'll point out a lot of the history, check out some of the buildings that are original, some that are reconstructed, and I don't know, we'll see what we see. All right, currently walking down Duke of Gloucester Street, and I just love seeing all these old buildings. Again, many of them are original. A lot of them have been reconstructed as well, starting back in, I believe, the 1930s. There might have been a few before that, but I believe the 1930s through the 1950s. Most of this was rebuilt. And this right here is the Brick House Tavern. A lot of the taverns here were rebuilt, to include the Raleigh Tavern, which is one of the more famous ones. It's a meeting place for patriots, but we'll still go by and check it out. And we're actually gonna try and grab lunch at the King's Arms Tavern. They do walk-ins for lunch. Dinner is reservation. I think they're booked out for like a month, so we'll see if we can get in there for a meal. All right, we just had a really good lunch at King's Arms Tavern, and we tried the peanut soup. It's a 18th century soup you have to try. And yeah, there's like a cold strawberry soup, which I think we both thought was better. And then we had some chicken dish, pretty good. Again, you're talking 18th century fare here. And then what was really good for dessert, we had a thing called a snowdrop, which I guess was Thomas Jefferson's favorite dessert. But yeah, if you're looking for the true colonial experience for food, King's Arms Tavern was, it's a good option. I will say there are taverns about every 100 feet or so, which is my kind of town. This here is the Shields Tavern. Looks like it's closed right now for a special event, but some of the taverns are open as actual restaurants. Others, like the Raleigh Tavern, are more to just explore and take a tour of. So they all serve little different purposes today, but really neat to just get to walk down Duke of Gloucester and see all these homes. Like I said, you really are immersed in the 18th century. This here is the Capitol building. And unfortunately, it's not the original. This one was rebuilt in the 1930s, but I am glad they rebuilt it because it gives visitors an idea of what it looked like and how imposing it was. And as the Capitol building, this of course was the political heart of colonial Virginia. It's where the elected House of Burgesses met. And from 1705 until the Capitol moved to Richmond in 1780, this was the center of Virginia's government. Of course, they debated taxes, laws. There's also the High Court in here, and eventually they discussed resistance to British rule, which helped set Virginia on the path towards independence. This right here is the Raleigh Tavern, and if you hear some commotion, it looks like they have a little performance going on. I'm not sure, but this is a reconstruction of the Raleigh Tavern, and this was essentially the unofficial headquarters of the Revolution here in Virginia. When the royal governor dissolved the House of Burgesses, colonial leaders including Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson met here to plan resistance, and it served as a hotel, a restaurant, a tavern, and generally a gathering place. And today you can go in and tour it, though it is not the original building. So we just got done walking through Raleigh Tavern, and they told us a couple interesting things that I didn't know. This was actually the first building here at Colonial Williamsburg that was reconstructed in the 1930s. And also they actually have the original 1717 cellar underneath the tavern that a few of the folks working here have been down to. As expected, they said it's kind of creepy, but I just thought that was kind of neat. I just want to give you all a view down Duke of Gloucester there at the Capitol. And we're going to keep working our way down and see a couple of the other buildings here, some of the taverns, some of the original homes, and work our way back to the Governor's Palace. This here is a reconstructed printing shop, and it's actually where the Virginia Gazette would have been printed during colonial times, which I think is really neat. And one thing I wanted to also point out as you walk around, if you look closely, each building has a little sign on it that will tell you if it's reconstructed or not, and like what it is. So this here is the George Pitt House. It was reconstructed. And it says, an apothecary and surgeon, George Pitt inherited this property in 1757, and he operated an apothecary shop called the Sign of the Rhinoceros here until the mid-1770s. So again, there are the 89 original 18th century structures, but there are a ton of other reconstructions to fill out the town and really give you that historic feel. Here's a couple of original buildings. There's the William Prentice shop, which was built in 1739. This other beautiful brick dwelling here is an original structure as well. This is known as the Ludwell Paradise House, and it looks like it was built in 1753. It says here on the sign, Virginia's first female printer, I'm going to butcher this name, Clementina Rind, lived and published a newspaper here from 1766 to 1774. Dang, how cool is that? Beautiful building, huge. One other thing you have to contend with here at Colonial Williamsburg is a large amount of horse poop. They do have real horse-drawn carriages going about, so just keep that in mind. All right, a few other original buildings here. There, the dark red one off in the distance is the Peyton Randolph House, which really is a beautiful structure. And then right over here is the courthouse. And this is an original building. And I'd like to add, it's right across the street from the powder magazine. And soldiers stationed here protected Virginia's gunpowder and weapons. And this really became one of the most strategically important sites. And today it looks like they're doing a little bit of work on it. They have some scaffolding, which, you know, when I visit places, I'm usually pretty bummed out to see that. But at the same time, you have to preserve these sites in order for people to appreciate and enjoy them for years to come. So I definitely sympathize with that. And this here is the Governor's Palace and Gardens. And this is one of the reconstructed buildings here at Colonial Williamsburg, but it is probably one of the most prominent and one of the most recognizable here. It's a beautiful structure. They give guided tours about every 20 minutes. And then later in the day, they actually just open it up for you to kind of free roam. Really, really beautiful structure. Again, one of the reconstructed ones, but one of really the centerpieces here at Colonial Williamsburg. And back here behind the Governor's Palace are the gardens, which is absolutely stunning, and it's a great place for the kids to run around, get some energy out. Or if you're maybe waiting for one of the time tours of the Governor's Palace, you can come spend some time back here, which is really nice. This is one of my favorite original structures here at Williamsburg. This is the Peyton Randolph House. And the sign here reads, for more than 50 years, this was the home of Peyton Randolph, who served the colony of Virginia in many of its highest governmental offices and became the first president of the Continental Congress. His father, Sir John Randolph, the only colonial Virginian to be knighted, lived here until his death in 1737. And the original house is unusual for its 7 fully paneled rooms. The furnishings reflect the home of a family prominent in the social and political life of the colony. Wow, Colonial Williamsburg, this is just one of those places you could literally spend days walking around and checking out all the structures, finding out which ones are original and all the history that took place here. And yeah, it's really neat. It's one of those places I think you have to keep coming back to, and you'll usually discover something new with each visit. And today, like I said, it's been like 90 degrees, 2 kids walking around. We've made the most of it. We saw what we could, but we're going to move on down the road to some more history. So that's going to be it for this one. Now it's on to the next journey.